Hello everyone, welcome to Wealthy Mindset. My name is Oliver. Thanks for watching, I really appreciate it. Hope you guys are having a great day wherever you're at. And today I'm going to be covering BlackBerry, GameStop, AMC, Nokia, and then also the Dow Jones to give the overall market sense for the most part. So we're going to start, but quick disclaimer like always, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a professional, so please do your own due diligence and your own research before buying and selling. Don't buy and sell based off what I show you or the opinions I form. I do own shares in BlackBerry, been holding for 6 years, so long-term investor for the most part. So we're going to start off with Dow Jones, and if you've seen my previous videos, basically I've stated that there's an upward trend resistance line that has formed ever since the dot-com bubble. So if I zoom in just for the new viewers, since 1999, basically there was an uptrend resistance line that formed, and then the peak of the dot-com bubble, there was basically, it almost peaked or passed it, but it was a false breakout. And it was January 2000. And then basically just before the pandemic, we were about to pass it again, but we got met by resistance. So basically it back tested twice, didn't pass it, pandemic happened, recovered, and we finally passed it. So this is a good sign right here. This is actually really good. The only thing is though, we did dip below the dot-com resistance level, the uptrend resistance level, but it's not a big deal because we created an upward trend support line. And this is another upward trend support line. So we got a double uptrend support line going on. And let me go zoom in right now. One sec. Okay, so what I showed in the previous video, here's the small one that I showed. There was two of them. This is the small one. And we have the uptrend support line, which is good. And I said that I was going to come back down and bounce off and go up. But it actually did something better than that. What I ended up doing was creating a second upward trend support line. So now not only do we have this upward trend support line, we have a second one, and ultimately it's just essentially going to keep going up, and if it breaks this, it has this one to rely on. I thought what's probably going to happen at one point, by the way, here it is, and then this is for February 4th, by the way, trading day. It also bleeds into like the future, like you could project a couple of next days to off the projected trajectory / path, right? So ultimately, you could potentially keep going up, and if it goes up, it's going to meet resistance at roughly, what was it last time I measured it? Right about here. So we're going to hit at 30,929. It could potentially going to start curve and break through this resistance or support line, and then break through this support line. Ultimately, what I thought was going to happen is maybe come back down, bounce off here, and solidify the projected growth, because you want it to essentially hit down the support line, and well, it's resistance, but make it as support, and if it does that, it's good, and it solidifies the growth towards the upside. But it's fine if it keeps going like this. It's not a big deal, which is good. And then the next support line or resistance line that could happen will be at the $31,007 or $31,000 mark for the most part. So those are the support lines that you need to, or resistance lines you need to break. If they break, you're in good shape. I'll keep you posted if that happens to the upside. But now to the downside. If it starts breaking levels to the downside, the one first level you need to be worried about is, where was it? Right about here, I believe. It's the 30,740, but that's not necessarily to worry about. The one that mainly you need to worry about was if we start breaking, where was it? I believe it was somewhere around here. Okay, so if we break the 30,600, then you need to start worrying, and specifically it was the 30,533, 540. Those are the ones you need to worry about on the downside. So, but overall, it looks like we're heading up. We're good. If I go even to the day, it's just we're above the moving averages, so we're in good shape. The support line's solid, so everything's good. MACD line too is in the positive, so everything seems to be good for the green to keep going up in terms of the Dow Jones. So there's that. Now we're gonna move for BlackBerry. BlackBerry, if you so for the long-term investors, I'm going to go over this one more time for the long-term investors and the short-term investors too. So what was it? The 1 year mark right here. Okay, so if you noticed, actually I left the drawings there. Okay, actually I'll just leave it. It's not a big deal. This is just a drawing right here. So basically ever since October of 2020 and then end of 2020, December 31st, January 6, 2021. So beginning of this year, end of last year, we basically back tested the support line, uptrend support line. So this is a good sign for long term. MACD did cross in the negative. That is a downfall. So it's showing that it's coming down. but we're above the moving averages, so that's good in terms of like the long-term trajectory. We were stuck by this downward trend resistance line. We're still basically encapsulated by it if you really think about it, but I stated in the video that it's most likely not going to come down straight down. It's pretty rare to happen just like that and follow the downward trend line. It's going to break off and go on the side, and at one point hit and go up. This was not in the previous video, but I recorded and tried to record, whatever. Not a big deal. So we broke off and it was good. Now, if you go to the 1 day trend, I drew a support line. I didn't think it was going to be a strong one. I said in the video that it's going to be a weak one, but ended up becoming a strong one. It's following it, which is awesome. And now it's hovering around the moving averages, etc., so on and so forth. But it's also forming another support line, upward trend support line right about here. So we got two support lines happening. We got a new one formed. I don't know how strong this one's going to be, but it's still nonetheless upward trend support line, which is awesome. And we got the bottom upward trend support line. So if you are banking on it to go to the upside, basically you're gonna have to you're hoping for it to break these resistance levels, and the resistance levels that you need to break are the $12.25. What was it? I think it was more than $12.25 when I measured it, but $12.25. That's the first one. The next one you needed to break was $12.42, or yeah, I knew it was in the okay. So $12.39. Then it was the 42 cents. And then you needed $12.70, but I'm gonna give you the ultimate, like the high one. Okay, so this one was, yeah, so $12.88, $12.95 was the next one, and then $13.21, and then $13.43. Essentially what you needed to do is pass $13.54, and you guys will be in good shape for the most part. But it's going to be pretty difficult. And then the thing is too, you can't just pass 13.54 because it could be a false breakout to the top. You need it to pass like by a good amount, but then it'll put you on more resistance. I think overall BlackBerry's in good shape, but those are the resistance levels that you need to break. You're going to have difficulties breaking those resistance levels. But then on the downside, if you think it's going to start crashing, the support levels that you have, which you could see right now, we just broke this support level. So yeah, okay. So it's already heading down. It's hopefully bounce off this moving average. You'll know in this video when it gets posted that if it broke it or not, which it might break it right now, who knows. But you got the support level at roughly, let's just say, because if it does a false breakout too, or not really, I guess, but let's see. So you got support at the 1163. So hopefully it doesn't break that. MACD line is in the negative, which is not a good sign technically. And we had, FYI, we had this downward trend line acting as resistance, but we did bounce off it a little bit, it looks like. Let's see. For the most part, right about there and there. Okay, so we did pass it a little bit, back test a little bit. We might come down here, 1164, 1163, and then just keep going up, hopefully, for the most part. So I think this is what's going to happen. If not, if it bounces off this, that'd be awesome. But I think what's going to happen is actually going to come here, meet up here at one point, and then just keep bouncing up, hopefully. Now, if it doesn't and it follows down this, right about here, and just keeps going down on this upside to the down resistance level and acts as support instead of resistance, basically the levels you're looking at support, because the resistance levels that I mentioned onto the top that you need to break, those are the same regardless. But the support levels that you need to, or you're going to be relying on, is the following. So, sorry about that. 1 sec. Okay, so support levels that you need to rely on are, again, the 1160 that I mentioned previously. And then you're relying on, where is it? Okay, so 1154, 1150, 1145, 1139, 1130. So these are going to be like the levels that are hopefully going to support. 1126 is going to be pretty big support. And then 1121. Ultimately, you do not want it to go lower than this. 1117, 1112, and 1106. 1106, if it goes that low, you want it to bounce up as fast as possible. But we'll see how it goes. So yeah, so far it looks like it's possibly, yeah, it's meeting up resistance right now at the moving trend line, the average moving trend line. So that's a good sign. So now we got GameStop. And for GameStop, basically what's happening is, 1 sec, let me just delete this. actually, I'll show you guys. So for GameStop, what essentially happened was, actually, yeah, I'm just deleting it. Okay, so if you notice from my other video that I posted the other day, what's happening overall is we got support from previously, which is a good sign. And the lowest I stated in that video was that we won't go lower than the 65, depending on the day, right? As you go higher, the lower, we won't go that low, hypothetically. And then we have another support line that the lowest that would go would be in the 42, right? So you guys got good overall support, which is awesome. Hopefully you guys keep going up. MACD line is hovering in the, where is it, right about here, hovering in the positive, so that's a good sign too overall. And ultimately what I stated was, it's not necessarily, it's crazy. So I drew this upward trend support line, and it's going to be looking better when I zoom into the 5-day, because right now it doesn't look aligned yet, but don't worry, it will. I said ultimately what's going to happen is it's going to consolidate and then go down and then meet up at this point, and as of February 8th, it's going to decide either to go up or down. Now it doesn't need to do that specifically there, it could do it here and then break off. But that's what's going to happen for the most part, and it looked like it did consolidate a little bit and it's heading down. So you guys might meet up at like the 73, 77 mark either by tomorrow or sometime today. I don't know, but let me see. February, actually, sorry about that. For Fridays for BlackBerry, Mondays for you guys. February 8th, February 8th, February 9th is for you guys on GameStop, right? So it's not going to necessarily break out until then. But if I go to the 5-day moving average, this was the upward trend that I drew. I thought it was potentially a weak upward trend, but it actually ended up holding off, so that's good. The only thing is though, now you guys are getting held down by a downward trend line that basically formed right about here, I think. So here for the most part, and then you have another one downward trend happening right about here, if I could draw. Right there. So what's going to ultimately happen is it looks like you guys are still getting shot down because you're under the short moving average, plus you have the MACD line that's negative, crossed over to the negative, which is not really that great. It crossed over as it opened for the most part, it looks like. It was positive before it opened, so, but whatever. So now you're basically relying on support lines. I will state what are the upward resistance lines are, but the support lines are the most concern right now given the open. So you got support right now, which you're hovering around, is 81.53. You do not want it to break that, especially actually right now, even 82.55, but it already broke that. But yeah, 81.53, which it already broke, but it doesn't matter, it could be a false breakout, it's not a big deal. Then the next one is 78.75. Don't want to break that either. Then you're relying on 75.34. 70, oh wow, okay. Let me zoom in more probably to get more detail. Yeah, the biggest one I would say is you do not want to break 73.22. 73.22, do you not want to break that for the most part, or 73.28. Again, these are not exact pennies, like it could false breakout, it could be a little bit off, so on and so forth. And then 68.61, and then 66.42. So those are the support levels. If they start breaking, I'll let you guys know in the comments down below, and I'll pin it. But at one point it will go sideways. I think it's going to break this resistance level, and it'll break this resistance level, in my opinion. So like the downward trend resistance levels, and go sideways. Even if it goes here, hopefully it breaks off to the side. I don't know. We'll see. I'll keep you guys posted. Now, if you're optimistic and it's going to go to the upside, the major support levels that you guys need to break is pretty much the 95.06. I would, yeah, let me see. Yeah, the $95.06 mark would be the big one. If you guys break that, you're in good shape. Especially, okay, right, you see right here, you got a bunch of back tests happening right about there, and it goes on the side. So 96.14, then you know you're headed to the upside. So then you're good. And then because you would end up breaking this downward trend support line too, or resistance line, downward resistance line. So now we're going to go to the AMC. AMC is pretty interesting as well. So we got this line kind of messed up, but hopefully you get the idea. There's a downward trend resistance line that happened. You guys broke off that, so that was a good sign. You bumped up to above the moving average here, and then you got capped by this moving average, a long moving average, and the MACD line is in the positive, so that is a good sign. But the problem is you guys got held down by that, right? And you bounced down, and you got a downward trend resistance line that has happened ever since it started ever since 2016, December, end of 2016. It's been keeping you guys down, and you guys bounced up recently, which was awesome, but the problem is you went down underneath. Now you're banking on it to be a false breakout or false dip, right? The only problem is today's down 8-9%. So let's just zoom into the 5. And you had support to the uptrend. The problem is you broke it too. So now it looks like you guys are relying on this uptrend right here that potentially could form. If this forms, you're in good shape and it holds you guys off. Now if it doesn't hold you guys off, let me see. It could potentially, you could hit 790, which could be a false breakout to 790 and then bounce back up. If it doesn't do that and it keeps going back down, then you're looking at the next level after 790 is 753. Then you're looking at 744, 728, and then ultimately you do not want to go lower than 713. You could obviously go lower, but like 704, you don't want to break $7, because then what happens is if you do that, you're essentially just going on this downward trend completely. You're going to be following it for the most part. So hopefully it does go on the upside. Now if it goes on the upside, a good sign that you're on the upside would be to pass 843, but not right away, because what happens is even if you pass 843, you might even be here at this point. So you're still part of the at the resistance level. So by past lunchtime, I would say, what is it? Around past lunchtime, you want to be essentially at, where is it? Right about here. Yeah. Wow. Ugh. I don't know. Okay, that would be a little bit too much confirmation right there. But if you're above 865 after lunch, you're in good shape. But if you're not above 865, and even if you're hovering at, if you're hovering it, you'll be fine. But ultimately 865 and above, you're in good shape. But keep in mind, you're kept down by this downward trend resistance line. It's like you would need to ultimately pass, where is it? Right about here. You need to pass 10, 15, 10, 20 to be good for the long term. Even those would be keeping you down based off these resistance levels right here. So that's the whole spiel for that. Now for Nokia is very interesting, very interesting. You got, let's see, is it all? Yeah, you guys are capped by the double downtrend lines right here, resistance downtrend lines. This dates back since, where was it? So for this one, this starts off back in 2001, and it goes down, kept you guys down, you guys passed here, which was a good sign. But then you kept you guys down, so you guys passed in 2007, and then came back down in 2008. Passed a hypothetically false breakout in 2010, but they haven't touched it ever since 2010, which is not a good sign. But then this downward trend line ever since, when was it started? Ever since 2004. You guys did briefly pass it around this time, which was 2009, 2008. But then you guys been held down ever since February of 2019. So February 2019 was the last breakout you guys had. Sorry, I was analyzing it earlier. Probably should have deleted this stuff. Hopefully it's clear. Okay, so ultimately what's happening is you guys did go up recently, which was this, August of 2020. Now, I don't think most of you guys were in at this point. You guys are coming in at this point where the hype came in, which was recent as of January 2021. But you guys got basically back tested. Let me see if I can go closer. Actually, no, let's keep it at that first. You guys back tested right about here and could not pass it. And the problem is too, these moving averages are probably going to count as resistance too. That's the problem, right? So hopefully you guys do pass this, and it doesn't take you. The problem is, I think short-term wise, you guys won't be passing $5.05 when I analyzed it for quite a while. I'm thinking by the beginning of March, then you'll have a chance to pass it, if that's the case, from what I saw. So, and then quick thing too, even if you do pass it, right, what's going to happen is, I think for the most part, again, nobody knows for sure. If they knew for sure, they'd be rich, right? I can't draw there exactly, but let's just say you go there, you hit 504. I think you're going to ultimately come back down to 473 or 475, whatever it might be. And then if you want a good sign, you want to bounce off this downtrend resistance level and create a support and then go up. That would be a good sign. And let's just say if you're optimistic, actually, okay, so 590 would be your cap for the most part, depending on when it's going to happen. This is even June 21st, but either way, if you break through it, you're a good sign. You might get capped by the 1080 and come down. But even if you come down at this point, you want to back test and go up and then come here and so on and so forth. You get the idea, but that's a long ways away. If you want to be updated, consider subscribing. I'll keep you guys updated as much as possible. But let's just go to the day kind of moving stuff, right? So far, for the most part, you guys are capped at a downward trend resistance line that's happening right about here. Where was it? Not drawing it that great right now. Sorry about that. So basically, you guys are solidifying right here, and it looks like you guys are consolidating sideways. It's going to take a while for you guys to move up, unfortunately. But you're at 445, yeah, 445 right now for the most part. And you do not want to go lower than, what was it? 436, no, that wasn't it. Let's go to a month. Okay, you definitely don't want to, if you go down to this level, 417, then basically you're going to consolidate here for a while. So essentially 415, 417, it's going to be a long consolidation period. The MACD line is in the negative too, so you want to break off this downward trend resistance line, right? To break off at that level, you essentially need to be, where is it? Right about here. You guys need to be past 484, but ultimately to solidify completely, where was it? Yeah, I would say 488. If you pass 488, you guys are in good shape. Now you know you're towards the upside. Again, you might be capped. You're going to be capped at the $5.04, but it'll be reaffirming that you're in good shape. So far, I don't see an uptrend happening yet. So you guys might be on a bumpy road right now, but we'll see. We'll see. You guys don't have too much support, unfortunately, on the bottom side. So hopefully you guys don't end up heading down to the 14, 15, 14, 17. But that's the whole spiel. For the AMC and Nokia side, I'm sorry, maybe if you guys want more details, let me know. Just because I'm more for the GameStop and BlackBerry analysis I've been doing recently. AMC and Nokia is a little bit new, but let me know if you guys want more information. But thank you guys so much for the awesome support. Thanks for watching. We passed 600 subscribers really quickly. The channel is roughly, give or take, a week and a few days old since the first video, so thank you guys so much. If you guys did like the video, give it a thumbs up. Helps out the channel. Really appreciate the overall benefit it gives. Thanks for the support. Essentially, that's what I'm trying to say. And if you have any questions, comment down below. I'll try to answer them as quick as possible. And if you like videos in terms of stocks, financial stuff, I'm going to talk about mortgages. I'm going to talk about credit scores, et cetera, in terms of improving them. So consider subscribing if you want to see that. And in terms of the Dow Jones, I will upload the video soon in terms of in-depth dive in terms of what could potentially happen for the next 6 months. If you did like, for example, the breakdown I gave originally in the beginning of the video. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.